Hello and welcome to Superpower Broadcasting. I'm Kevin Castley. Thanks for being here tonight. Tonight we are going to continue with the 9 Axes political test. This is part 4. We're going to do, a few questions here. We'll get through some questions, and then in 35 minutes from now, I will have a short stream dedicated to addressing an issue that I've got with the rights, some of the rights reaction to the pandemic. So we'll get to that in about 35 minutes. So until then, we're going to answer some questions here. And I'll be taking a look at the chat as well as I go through and give my response to these. Question 127. Diplomatic options should always be tried before war is even considered. Yes, and I was alluding to, before we wrapped up last night's stream, how, yes, you always want to aim for diplomacy first if there's a way, but once it's established, once it's clear that the enemy is not negotiating in good faith, then to continue with diplomacy is futile. And it was smart, right, to pursue diplomacy with North Korea initially after the Soviets fell apart. But it was clear by the end of the Clinton administration that there's no gaining ground here. Everything's in bad faith. They know what they're doing. They have no interest in giving up their nuclear program. It's all lies. You're not going to get anywhere. They're just negotiating with you to buy time so that they can build up enough of a deterrent so that you can't stop them. That's it. They know what they're doing. And they've learned lessons from other leaders that were more trusting of the United States. Now, if somebody comes in and becomes president, say, Joe Biden becomes president, right? Would it be wise for him to begin diplomacy with North Korea and say, oh, diplomacy should be tried before war? No, because Bill Clinton already had attempted diplomacy. It would be dumb to start it over and over and over and over again. We know what they're up to. We know they know what they're doing. The only option is war. That's why I said, if I was the United States president, within 20 minutes of the inauguration, the nukes would get out the tubes. All their, nuclear launchers, all their mobile launchers would be, mushroom cloud particulate. They wouldn't last an hour in my administration. Kim Jong-un would be dead. The leadership would be dead. Their nuclear arsenal would be neutralized, and none of it would even get off the ground because they would have no warning. So if diplomacy was possible and they were negotiating in good faith, that would be different, but studied North Korea long enough to know they have no interest in that, and they know it. So they're smart, right? They're not going to do the same sort of stuff that Gaddafi did or whatever. Now, I'm glad Gaddafi was stupid, and I'm glad that Gaddafi gave up his nuclear ambitions. I'm glad it was easy to take him out. But Kim? Nah, he's the bad guy in the movie that knows that the bad guys never win. So he's not going to act like a typical bad guy would and mess up. He knows what he's doing. And the only solution for him is, a nuclear strike. So, and you can say, oh, that's crazy, Kevin. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's insane. That's insane. You're talking about nukes, to paraphrase Nutso Liz in that debate. Yeah, you know what's insane? Letting them get nukes in the first place. And we talk about windows of opportunity. We talk about how you don't have infinite years to address these regimes. You have a limited window within which to take action before it becomes, not impossible. Like the United States could have invaded the Soviets in, say, 1983, but they've got 35,000 nukes. It's still possible, just you're going to take a lot of damage. Whereas if you invade them in 1946, they've got 0 nukes. Oh, sure, they kill some of your soldiers. Sure, absolutely. They damage a lot of cities in Europe. Absolutely. Are as many people going to die in that as a nuclear war in 1983? No. So, likewise with North Korea, windows of opportunity. And there are always two windows of opportunity. There's the window of opportunity before they get nukes, which is the case with Iran right now. And then there's the window of opportunity before they get hydrogen bombs, thermonuclear warheads. North Korea doesn't have those yet. Iran doesn't even have atomic warheads yet. But I'll tell you, there's a huge difference between going up against the power that's armed with atomic weapons and going up against the power that's armed with thermonuclear weapons. Because look at the difference between the Hiroshima blast and the Tsar Bomba, right? Those are two extremes, but even a modest thermonuclear warhead can often be in the megatons. So hundreds of times more powerful than a typical atomic bomb. So we're talking massive devastation. So we can't trust them. We can't let them get H bombs. And is a small nuclear war preferable to waiting for them to get H bombs to point at the United States? Absolutely. Because war with North Korea is inevitable. I'd rather do a war, have 6 million people die in the 2020s, than wait for them to start the war and have 60 million people die once they fire off their H bombs. They've already got the range. So to answer this question, diplomatic options should always be tried before war is even considered. It's neutral. It's neutral because what happens if the previous administration tried diplomacy? Then it's stupid. If you know they're negotiating in bad faith, there's no point. You're just wasting your time. You're letting them build up more of an arsenal. In fact, war is preferable to diplomacy there because then you can attack them from a greater position of relative strength. It's the difference between attacking Hitler in 1936 and 1939. So, going with neutral there. War usually leads to worse outcomes. Yeah, if our enemies are invading people, yeah. But, again, this quiz, let's assume it's talking about us. Leads to worse outcomes. Show me a case where the United States did a war where the result wasn't better than the previous status quo. You can't do it. You can't do it. Now, I'm not an expert on history or anything, so I will preface this by saying I don't know very much about, the details of wars and stuff before 1900, but I'll say this. Tell me a war, tell me an intervention that the United States did between 1900 and now where the outcome was worse than the previous status quo. You can't do it. So, I know we only have a few people watching right now. More people will roll in. But if you're watching this at a later date, after the stream is live, after it's uploaded and everything, you can write in the comments, right? You can say, oh, here's an example of a case in which the situation was worse after a U.S. war than before. Now, I'm challenging you. I don't think you can do it. I mean, I can't think of any. So, they've all improved the situation. So on that, we're going with strongly disagree. Society was better many years ago than it is now. How long is many years ago? And what sort of better are we talking about? Because we've gone downhill in some areas, like becoming more comfortable with Marxism. But we've also progressed a lot, especially technologically. So it's neutral. Some things were better before, some things are better now. All humans share a common identity. Yeah, I mean, we're all human, and ideally we'll all become part of a Western, at least federation of free states, but hopefully, United States worldwide. Yeah, all humans, have that in common. All humans have human rights and dignity and everything. We'll go with agree there. Whistleblowers should be strongly protected. Depends what we mean by whistleblowers, what their motivations are, etc. I've got issues with that. I think, the case of some of the more prominent ones recently basically amounted to treason, that it was, above and beyond anything that might justify as whistleblowing. It was straight up, leaking secrets. which definitely aided the enemy. So I think it's neutral, because there are cases where you could do whistleblowing and actually intend for it to be, something that is constructive and whatnot. But it really depends. Like, if we're talking about, like, say you're in a business or something, and you want to whistleblow because you think that there's a bad practice going on, I can kind of see that. But, like, let's say you're in the military, that's unacceptable. So I lean towards disagree on that one. You got Randy here. He says, "What's up, Kevin?" What's up, Randy? I'm just doing a couple streams tonight. What about you? Question 132. There should be no police force. Strongly disagree. You can go and check out my appearances on Henry's channel, American Madhouse, if you want to see why. Oh, we got Zaus here. What's up, Zaus? Welcome to the stream. Religion usually provides the truth. I would say on that strongly disagree. Like, let's say, and I'm going to make a case here that I think even religious people should be able to agree with me on. Let's say you are, we'll just go here. Let's say that you are a Baptist, for example. Let's say that you're Christian and you're Baptist. You're not even going to agree with this. Now, you would say your denomination, your religion, maybe even Christianity at large provides the truth. I got news. Most of the world is religious. About 80 to 85% of the world is religious. Only about 33% is Christian, and not that many are of your denomination. So even if you said all Christianity is valid regardless of denomination, as long as you have faith in Christ, and that provides the truth. Well, you're 33% of the world, and 85% of the world is religious. The majority of those that are religious don't have the truth. So in that case, now that's the case of Christianity. You could do the same with, say, Shiite Islam, for example. So regardless of what denomination you are, you're not going to say, oh, that other religion over there also provides the truth. No, you're going to say, you're basically going to be atheistic towards all of the other religions except for yours. So, if that makes any sense. So even if you're religious, you couldn't say that, because there's no religion that has the majority of the world believing in it. So the majority of people, no matter what you believe in, the majority of people that have religion would not meet the criteria of truth to any of the religions that are out there. And then, of course, if you're an atheist or agnostic or anything, that's completely different. And so, I come at this basically as an agnostic atheist, but I got a case here. I think that every single person in the world, regardless of whether they're religious or not religious, should be on the disagree side here. Because for the majority of people that are religious, they're not going to be of your religion. So for me, it's a strongly disagree. Zao says abolish police. Oh man, did you join BLM and Antifa and stuff? Question 134. Genetic modification is a force for good, even on humans? It can be. I think generally the way that it's been going, it is. But it doesn't mean that there aren't ethical issues that it could be used for nefarious means. So we'll go with agree. In general, immigrants are bad for the country. On this one, this is interesting. It really depends on how, open borders we're talking about and everything, and what the criteria are to become an immigrant. If we're talking legal immigrants, generally no. If we're talking illegal immigrants, absolutely yes in all cases. So immigrants, let's just assume it's asking about legal immigrants here, since it doesn't, you would think that it would specify illegal immigrants otherwise. say it's legal, are bad for the country, I would lean somewhere between neutral and disagree on that. I mean, it really depends on the economic conditions, and are we letting in people that are like going to fill jobs that we already have enough demand for, or rather enough supply for here, and it's just going to cause problems economically for the citizens here. I think generally legal immigration is good. So neutral to disagree. So I'll go with disagree there. Question 136 of 216. There must be a separation between church and state. Yeah, absolutely. Question 137. People should hold more loyalty to their local state than their country. No, I think that can get into dicey territory where you're basically asking for a civil war. I think that I think that national pride and patriotism and everything has a role. You know, let's see what the chat has to say. Yeah, Zaus is like I got jumped into BLM. Oh, Zaus says strongly agree on the immigrants. Wait, because I put disagree because it said immigrants are generally like immigration is generally bad for the country. So Zaus strongly agrees. Oh man, Zaus kind of sounding like Tucker Carlson. By the way, I agree with Tucker on like illegal immigration and border control and stuff. Like even somebody that I talk about in like a negative way almost all the time, like Tucker Carlson, even he is not like this evil villain, like bad in all ways kind of person. Nobody's like that. I mean, even Donald Trump killed Soleimani. Donald Trump pulled out of the Iran quote unquote deal, right? So why it says he'd say local state over their country. Wait, Zal says it said immigrants are generally good for the country. Wait, I read it as bad. Well, you know what? I'm watching this on my phone right now just to monitor. I'm going to go back and see what it said. I can actually take a look. Yep. No, Zaus is wrong. I'm right. I'm looking at it right now. I just scrolled back on my phone. The question read, in general, immigrants are bad for the country. So I put disagree. Zaus put strongly agree. Zaus meant strongly disagree. I meant disagree. So. Yeah. Zaus says strongly disagree that. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because like I could be wrong, right? I don't know. It's also pretty late. Like honestly, that one was a 50-50 because I didn't know. I'm like, wait, what? Like I wasn't like, no, like I know exactly what it said. I'm like, I could have misread it, you know. So I appreciate you keeping things in check there. So I happen to be right on this one. You might be right on the next one. So okay. So as far as how we're going to answer this one here, I think, it makes sense to like have like an involvement in your sort of provincial or state level, but also have like a loyalty to your country as a whole. I think my answer on this one it's gonna be have to be neutral there. Question 138. Our culture would be better with other cultures mixed in more. Well, which other cultures? Are we just like rolling into I? No, some cultures are better than others. There isn't just one good culture in the world, but I kind of get what the question's getting at, and I'm on a disagree on that one. Question 139. A hierarchical state is best. What what would even be a non-hierarchical state? A state is a hierarchical institution. That's like basically the definition of it. Wait, I'm gonna take a look at the chat. Yo, chat gang, what is a non-hierarchical state? Like, what does that even mean? A non-hierarchical state. Is that like where the president and the the male clerk at a government office have equal authority? Have what, equal salary? Equal, like what? Wait, what does that even mean? Like every state is hierarchical. Every state that has ever existed is being hierarchical. Oh, I've got competition tonight. City of Hawks is here. He says Henry's premiering a video. I'll have to take a look at it. Dang. So Zaya says, I think it means communism. You know, the true communism that no one has ever tried. Wait, but that's stateless. That's not even a state. Like, how could you have a state, the institution of the state, and have it not be hierarchical? This is okay. That question. Here's the irony here. This is a political compass test. This question was not written by somebody who has ever studied political science. Nobody who like has taken political science, even like at the first year level, would write that. They wouldn't phrase it that way. A hierarchical state. That's redundant. State is a hierarchical institution. Like again, how would you even have a non-hierarchical state? Where are we comparing this to? Is best. It's the only option. Like, I know that they're going to score and weight my values and stuff based on my response to this. So, like, if I answer strongly agree, they're going to have me like, oh, you're a fascist. If I strongly disagree, you're a communist. But, like, I believe in hierarchy and I believe in a state, but every state is hierarchical. Even the ones I disagree with. I disagree with North Korea. Their state is hierarchical. I disagree with Iran. Their state is hierarchical. I disagree with the government in Germany. Their state is hierarchical. It's not like Merkel and some like just started out clerk at a government office have the same authority. Yeah, everybody's saying strongly. I have to answer strongly agree here. I think that that's the only. I think that that's technically the only response that you could even have here. Like, is best. There's no worse. So strongly agree. Okay, weird. We're going to go for about another 8 minutes or so. Then we're going to wrap this up and go into my next stream where I'm going to speak for a few minutes and then we'll be done and I'll be back here tomorrow. Question 140. State and local laws should have precedence over national laws. Well, how do you guys feel about this? Because I feel like I'm going to answer the same way I did before, where I was talking about how, you know, we need to have some commonality across the board. Like, you know, you can't do murder in any jurisdiction, can't do like sexual assault in any jurisdiction. And that at the state and local level, we're talking more, you have autonomy over less serious things. Arthur says state over federal. I know Wyatt would probably lean that way too. I'm somewhere in between the two, but like it really depends, right? Because like if the federal government sucks, I can understand why you might gravitate more towards like the state level. But let's say that the state level sucks, but the federal government is like based, then you might lean towards the federal government. It's not to say that there aren't people that can be like principled on that. There are, but I'll take a look at what Wyatt says here. He says, depends on what the Constitution says. So just agree. Localities should have more direct control, but need federal limits. Yeah, that's basically where I'm at. Like you can't just set everything on your own. There needs to be like some baseline where we all like agree on what's wrong and stuff. But yeah, I'll lean towards agree there. Question 141: people should vote issue by issue themselves. Well, we're talking should. I would say yeah, but there is an important point to note here, which is that if you're somebody who doesn't care about politics or whatever, probably not worth your time to really do like a ton of research or whatever. I know a lot of people will say, oh, how can you be uninformed about politics and everything and all this? It's like, well, some people focus on other things. So, like, some people are good at like technology, some people are good at golf. You can do those things and be political too, but not everybody's got time for that. And I understand why not everybody's going to vote issue by issue. Some people just kind of want a platform that they can gravitate around. And that makes sense because they don't have time for the nuance and everything. But, you know, that's kind of the reason why political channels exist, you know, is so that, especially, you know, independent political channels, so we can make entertaining content and also kind of give our takes on issue by issue stuff. So I would say ideally, yeah, everybody would. But I understand that that's probably never going to happen. So I still, for me, would say strongly agree, though. I don't really think it makes that much sense to like say vote for somebody just because, like, you know, you oh, they're basically like, oh, they're the good guys and those guys are the bad guys. It's like, no, it really depends on the issues. So I'm going to go with strongly agree here. Question 142: alliances can pose a threat to a nation's sovereignty. Yeah, if we're talking a military alliance, I mean, the Warsaw Pact was a clear example of it, but there was a lot of else going on there with authoritarianism. But, you know, if we're talking treaties in general, I think treaties more often than not can pose a threat to a nation's sovereignty. Alliances generally tend to be, you know, we contribute some stuff here, you contribute some stuff there, we pool our defenses together, and we basically provide a greater deterrent. That makes sense. I think, you know, we can talk about NATO and how Turkey's been taking advantage of NATO, but it's not like Turkey, because they're in NATO, has access to like US top secret stuff or anything. The US refuses to sell Turkey F-35s. We don't really have like a threat there going on from Turkey simply because they're in an alliance with the United States. But as far as alliances posing a threat to a nation's sovereignty, the only ones that I can think of right now are enemy alliances. But yeah, American Madhouse is here. He says, hey guys, just dropped a new video. I will check it out after my second stream tonight. So I'm going to wrap this up in a few minutes and get ready for the next stream. I'll be streaming at 10:50 my time, so 10:50 Pacific, so 6 minutes from now. I got some things to say about how I'm disappointed with how the right wing handled the pandemic initially, and there was such potential for them to really use this to make some positive change, but we're going to talk about that later. So, oh man, Zayas says I'll be watching it as soon as this stream is done. Well, I got another stream going like almost as soon as this stream's done, Zayas. So, but yeah, that's your choice. I think I generally would say disagree on this one. Question 143. It is very important to maintain law and order. Yeah, strongly agree. Like, you can go and watch Henry and I talk about this on his channel. You can watch Henry and I talk about this on my channel. Law and order, like, without that, you don't even have a civilization. It's Lord of the Flies. It's the Hobbesian state of nature. So strongly agree. Question 144. A nation usually needs a military in order to survive. Yeah, if they said always needs a military in order to survive, I would actually say no on that, because if you're under another nation's military umbrella, like Costa Rica basically is to the United States, then yeah, you can kind of skirt by and not have to have a military and rely and coast on and freeload off of everybody else. Maybe that can work for you. But yeah, usually you're going to have a military to survive. Otherwise, people are going to go in and take your stuff. So, and tell you what to do. So, strongly agree. And of course, throughout history, that was blatantly obvious, right? If you didn't have a military, you were basically putting up a sign that said "free resources here, free slaves here." So, and the free slaves were you. So we're gonna wrap this up now. Thanks for being here, everybody. We're about 3/4. Well, not 3/4 of the test. It's 216, not 200. We're probably about 70% the way through the test right now. So probably a couple more streams of this. Probably be a 6-part series. So I'm going to be streaming in 4 minutes. I've got some things to say about the pandemic. And we'll answer this question tomorrow, but that's what we'll leave it on, question 145. Mexicanator just got here. Hello, Mexicanator. Wyatt says people should vote issue by issue, but it's also foolish to compartmentalize. If one political party checks off 9 of 10 boxes for you, it would be dumb to go for the one that does 1 out of 10. Okay, well, here's an interesting question, Wyatt, because let's say that were true, but the party that checked off that 1 out of 10, let's say that you valued that 1 out of 10, that issue, 50 times more than you valued any of the ones in the 9 out of 10. Then that other party is still 5 times more appealing to you, right? Because there are one issue voters, right? Like there are people that vote purely on abortion rights, like one way or another. There are people that vote purely based on like environment policy, that kind of stuff. So I think, you could say it's probably foolish to be like a one issue voter. I mean, I kind of say I'm kind of a one issue guy because it's foreign policy, but that's not really true. I care about other stuff too. So, but it's definitely the most important issue. But yeah, I'll be on the next stream in 3 minutes. So I'll see you all there, hopefully. So have a good night, everybody. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this around. And also, if you support what I do, you can check out my Patreon and my PayPal in the link below. So thanks for being here, everybody. See you shortly.